Hello sawubona mbukeli sesifikile thina nohlelo oluthanda kakhulu Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're coming to you live la kumahamba phambili phela SABC 1 uMzansi for sure. Uyazi ke uNhlanhlo uMajalu Alisha usefikile. Mbukeli uOctober inyanga yezokuthutha lapho phela sibheka zonke izidingo nokuphepha kwabagibeli. Ungasifonela e-studio on 0117146918 or 7146919. consumer@sabc.co.za is of course the magic email address ungasendela khona. We also have a WhatsApp line ngizonikeza inamba kodwa manje mbukeli ake sifake indaba namhlanje izibuko sifakele izibuko sibone ukuthi sikhuluma ngani. Mbukeli noma luthandwa kakhulu phela ngabaningi uhlelo lamatekisi olwaziwa njenge e-hailing sishobonake o-Uber no Taxify or o-Bolt kodwa ke sekhona izinto eziningi phela ezibanga inkinga zalamatekisi ezibangela futhi igama elibi kanye nezinsolo zobugebengu ukudlengulwa kanye neminye imikhuba eminingi. Ingaba yini kanti ekumele yenziwe phela ukuthi kulawulwe isimo mesinje? Ngaphambi kokuthi sikhulume kabanzi ke nezivakashi zethu ake siza ukuthi abanye abantu bathini ngalolu daba.
Igama lami uChuluma Ncingasela. Kulonyaka kuphela na Roger driver we-Bolt. And that was when I decided to start a petition around the vetting of drivers and safety of passengers on e-hailing services. Kulo petition after niqalile, a lot of people came forward about their gruesome stories of what happened. There was a person who had their ankle broken by a Taxify driver. There was a person who was almost kidnapped. So abantu abaninzi emva kwanqala petition that realized uba abakho safe with Taxify and abakho safe ku Uber. And there's nothing really that's been done around that.
This is what happened to me on an Uber and a Taxify app, both of them. So I dropped my phone in an Uber taxi. And then the guy said he didn't have the phone and I asked him about it. And then he used my phone to request my Taxify app that was on my phone. And he used that app to request for himself. And he used around about 800 rands. I reported it to Taxify and Uber. And I'm not sure if they removed the guy from the app.
Last year on my way from Waterfront to Cape Town, I had a disagreement with a Taxify driver because we messed on his car. He said that we should pay 300 rand. I refused. I said, no, let's go to the garage and I'll clean your car and I'll pay. It was around about 9 o'clock. So he took us to the shady place that was full of foreign nationals. And then I told my friend, hey, let's get off Brahmasehla because it's not safe. He came to me running and then so I tried to get back my phone from him. He held me and forcefully threw me to the ground and my ankle got broken and I had to go for an operation for the doctors to put a titanium plate because my bone was badly broken. It happened last year in November.
Mbukeli ke asizwe bonaka ukuthi abashayeli bona bayibeke kanjani indaba yabo.
I-system abayisebenzisayo njengamanje angiboni ukuthi isezingeni lesikhathi esiphila kuso because umuntu ukuthathela ifoni akhona ukusebenzisa i-app awukwazi wena njengodriver awunayo access ukuthi uyiblock manje ukuthi sengijonjele ifoni ngathatha ifoni ngiye kwenye indawo ngithatha ama request umuntu ubona uyafika uyagibela emotweni even nemoto bayi-hijack uthatha ifoni yamthatha imoto i-registration iyafana urequestile but udriver ongapakathi akusiyena inkinga iba lawo yabo.
If I report a case at Bolt, they must immediately block my profile so that we find a resolution around the issue at hand. And as a result, they don't do that. And they keep on taking profiles at where was sebensis.
I-response ka-Bolt ayikho fast. Ngibe ngakhiphela isibhamu mina, ngicela to end the trip. Umuntu wavela khipha isibhamu wangikhomba ngaso ukuthi ngifuna ukubhadela ngami or ngifuna ukubhadela ufuna imali na. Wavela wayehla wathi mina ngingakhokhi. Ngizokhokha ngale 3. Nga-reporta ku Taxify bambuza bathi angiye police station ngibasendele i-case number. Ngizobasendela i-case number kanjani ebusuku?
I-safety ikhosa ukuthi lapho ku system yethu Taxify akuna verification so noma ubani ungakhona kungena ungandlula eshop ungena eshop uthenge iSIM card uyifake efonini ufake iSIM card ucreate email engekho even namanje ngafaka email mina ngithi gugu.dlamini@gmail.com izoyithatha i-app so kanjalo ngiyakwazi ukuthi ngirequestela noma ubani so ngaleyo ndlela leyo so meaning ukuthi nabo driver abekho safe nathi njengabo driver so umuntu uzothatha i-app acreate i-account yamanga account engekho valid.
Those are very concerning views. Mbukeli-ke manje ukudingida kabanzi udaba lethu lanamhlanje masamukele usis Ayanda Alipane yena-ke okhulumela umnyango wezokuthutha ohlanganyela nathi ocengweni lwe-Skype sibe naye futhi insizwa ubhuti Bathuka Mbelekwa yena-ke ommele abakwa e-hailing association. Lady and gentlemen, siyanamukela ohlelweni. Thank you so much. Ayanda, let me start with you. I know we have limited time, but thank you so much. I know Uguti, you are in the middle of an event as we speak, but Sisi, we just want to find out, I mean, we've just heard views, like very concerning views about the concerns of the safety of passengers, particularly that use the e-hailing services. Tell us, as a department, as we celebrate or observe Transport Month, let's start by quickly maybe hearing your planned campaigns to ensure public safety or passenger safety in particular around this month.
Alicia, thank you very much for having us as the Ministry of Transport. Sibingelele nasemakhaya sibonge le opportunity nisiphe yona ukuthi sizocacisa kakuhle izinto esizenza apha kule space se e-hailing. Dithetha nawe nje ngoku silapha eFree State, we are at the provincial taxi Lakho. Now when we talk about the taxi industry, we are not just talking about the minibus taxis. Sifaka ngisho labo e-hailing service providers labo khuluma ngabo bit earlier ngikhuluma ngabo Bolt, sikhulume ngabo taxi Uber City. How can we integrate them and create a taxi industry that also includes the meter taxis ezosebenzisana nomphakathi kahle? We can see kuma social media masibheka o Facebook o Twitter abantu bayakhala la ngaphandle, especially abantu bosimame bathi bona bafeel safe, bafila ngathi bazontshwa kulama e-hailing service providers. So government, what we are doing as a uhulumende, we are creating a set of regulations right now to not only regulate the way in which e-hailing service providers operate, but also to look at safety and security as far as commuters are concerned. Alicia, you'll know this new technology was a disruption, not only in South Africa, but all over the world. All of these different countries where you find e-hailing service providers are dealing with the same issues we're dealing with here. This is something we did not foresee. This is something that is new for our particular space and the world at large. And we are now retrospectively as a government trying to put down certain measures to make sure ukuthi baphilisane kahle with the other taxi industry participants, baphilisane kahle nomphakathi as well as with the state.
All right. But Bathuka, welcome, Nsizwa. Maybe if you can just tell us a bit about Inansigi Association yenu. Who are your members and bajoyina kanjani, Nsizwa?
Alicia, thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure to represent drivers. I think it's important that we must represent ourselves and we must lend our voice to this dialogue. First and foremost, when we address the matters of safety within industry, let me first clarify. I'm Bathuka Mbelekwa. I represent drivers within the e-hailing sector. So I represent Bolt drivers, I represent Uber drivers, Taxify drivers, or drivers that operate across several platforms. Now, just touching on what we started on safety measures, right? We as drivers have started initiating several initiatives to ensure that we can then make our industry a bit safer. I think we have a responsibility to then oversee these things happen, because not as Tandi must tolerate trip umuntu wesimame makangena emotweni ungena thukile angazi ukuthi kuzowenzakalani. And I think that responsibility sits on everybody to ensure we eradicate this. You get initiatives out of groups. There's a group called Marlboro Unity Group. There's a group called INEHA, EXA, where they've got emergency response teams where panic signal is then sent to via WhatsApp, and then drivers respond themselves to intervene. And I think it's important that situkubonga driver who are doing this of their own will, of their own money, to ensure that it's becoming a safer industry. In terms of the efforts of government, we're happy with the engagement. We are happy with the Lakho. we'd like to see us drivers being invited to partake more. You know, it's quite difficult sometimes navigating these channels, and we do know that the major Lekgotla is coming up at the end of the week. We have written to the task team being led by Mr. Yilungelo, asking for an opportunity to be represented there. I think I'd like to then maybe also say to Miss Ali Payne to let her know that we've done this, and maybe her office can support us in this effort.
All right. All right, Batuka, ulalelu, Miss Ali Payne. Ayanda, maybe let me come back to you quickly, Ntokazi. I mean, we heard at the beginning of the show, our concerns. I mean, one lady, driver, Umshayile, took her phone. She had to have titanium plates ezifakwa edolweni lakhe because of that incident of a violence. We hear of rapes that have been reported and gang rapes and all sorts of things. As you mentioned earlier, abafazi in particular, I mean, it's said that 56% of women are actually ibona public transport. And if they're not feeling safe here, because I remember when no Uber, no Bolt or Taxify actually came, they were seen as a safer alternative to public transport, especially for women. I mean, we've got jobs. So tell us, Ayanda, is the department aware of all these incidents? And what is Nenzani Ngalogo? Are you guys doing anything about it? I know you mentioned AMA regulations. I want us to go back deeper into those regulations and AMA current legislations in terms of authority yenu over the licensing yabo ama lokuzana ama Uber and Bolt drivers sis. Go ahead, Ayanda. Ayanda? Yes, I can hear you, Ayanda. Ayanda? All right, Mbugeli, we are struggling with Ayanda. We're going to take a very quick ad break. Okay, Ayanda. Okay, Ayanda, we're going to try and sort you out. Mbugeli, askiji meseva ngeli no manje 0117146918 and 0117146919. Those are the magic numbers. We're back. We're talking about inkinga that are associated with e-hailing services. Yilungelo Lakho on SABC 1. Bogeli, welcome back. Izingcingo zethu seyivuliwe. We are live. Ungabamba iqhaza nawe ngokuthi ushayele ucingo 0117146918 alternatively 7146919. Kodwa ngaphambi kokuthi siqhubeke ngendaba yethu ye e-hailing services nama problems that are associated with the industry, ake sizwe lesi sixwayiso ke esivela ku Robert Mulawuthi. Yena ke he's a safety expert. Lalelani laba bukeli.
Kubalulekile kakhulu ukuthi umphakathi ngaphandle bazinakekela kakhulu mabasebenzisa e-hailing or public transport. Kubalulekile ukuthi umuntu athole yonke information ngomshayeli wale moto lezomlanda. Normally kuzoba kunamhlambe kunesithombe, kuzoba ne-information yakhe ukuthi bona e-ofisini lakho bayibiza nge-rating ukuthi lo muntu uziphatha kanjani maka lokho ayenza lo msebenzi wakhe. So kubalulekile ukuthi le information le ube nayo, and then mase ifikile imoto fanele futhi uwenza isiqiniseko sokuthi uyambuza udriver kunjani uRobert kanjalo, so that yes noma mhlambe angadineka mhlambe but kubalulekile ukuthi uyenze lento leyo so that ukwazi ukuthi manje uya verify information leyo nayo naleyo oyibonayo manje, ngoba kungenzeka mhlambe uthola ukuthi le moto mhlambe seyithathiwe akusehuye lo driver lo oshayela le moto le. So kubalulekile kakhulu ukuthi uyenze kanjalo, and then nale information le oyisebenzisile ukurequesta, for instance i-trip yakho ozoyithatha nokuthi uyakuphi mhlambe uyishare nomndeni wakho, mhlambe umngani wakho or i-family member ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi uyakuphi nesikhathi lesi mhlambe i-estimated time ozoyithatha from la usuka khona nala uyakhona, so that if kuyenzeka mhlambe lesikhathi lesi sesidlule bazi ukuthi manje khona into mhlambe engahambi kahle enzakele lapho.
Siyabonga kakhulu-ke ngalawo ma-safety tips ku-Robert Mulawudzi. Mbukeli, we are talking ngezinkinga phela eseziriphothiwe mayelana nabantu abasebenzisa ama-Uber no-Taxify. Abanye bayareyphwa, nibonile mesiqala ishow omunye washawa udriver wamphula idolo kwamele afake ney'nsimbi emadolweni. Ungashayela ucingo usizwe indaba yakho. My guest today is of course the spokesperson for the Department of Transport, Ms. Ayanda Alipane kanye nensizwa uBathuka Mbelekwa, yena-ke spokesperson se-e-hailing association la South Africa. Ayanda, let's quickly revert back to you, Ntokazi. I was asking about these regulations nokuthi yini umsebenzi wenu when it comes to particularly licensing and vetting, because I think we've just heard now Robert says that passengers must ensure ukuthi bona they have the correct information, but uyithola kanjani correct information, and how do you ensure it's the right information if when you just log on the app and unikeze leyo assistance? I mean, it's not like you're going to sit there and try to vet a driver that is on your way to you when you are waiting for transport, Ntokazi. So maybe tell us ukuthi nina ngena kanjani ekutheni nikhipha ama license nokuthi nenze sure ukuthi labantu you actually look after my rights ama passengers. Ayanda? All right, she's frozen again. All right, we're going to call Usis Ayanda. But Bathuka, maybe let me talk to you. I mean, this is very concerning. We saw Ilokuzanama inserts earlier on. Australia nina as association nenzani ngalezi gemegeme nizwayo ukuthi abantu bayarepwa, people are getting raped, people are getting beaten up, or women in particular, they're most vulnerable when it comes to using ama e-hailing services, Bab.
I think it's important to understand where we're being let down.
Yes.
You see, especially Bolt and Uber, they're refusing to build safer apps. And our driver, we have on many occasions tried to engage them to make suggestions as people who understand on the ground operationally what the challenges are.
Yes.
To say, can you try and build these apps in a safer way? Now, you need to understand why they are not willing to do so. And you need to understand how they are behaving on a global platform. You look at the likes of Uber, which is investing billions into driverless vehicles, which simply proves to us that the more unsafe it is for people to use the platform, is the easier and it's a better environment for them to then want to introduce driverless vehicles. Manje, Alicia, you and I understand that like South Africa, we need that employment.
Yeah.
If we're going to allow global organizations to then come and lead such a disruption, put the lives of our mothers and sisters in danger, it can't be right, We need to put a stop to this. So the burden of responsibility doesn't only lie in the Department of Transport and correctly vetting and licensing, but app companies need to come to the forefront and ensure that they do better. They are complicit with the Protection of Personal Information Act, and they are making sure that they are correctly capturing positive identity of all riders and drivers. Everybody deserves safety.
But Huga, I mean, I read something very interesting. I was doing my research and I came across this piece that says the Western Cape Transport spokesperson, and I want Ayanda to comment on this, but we're still struggling with her, so we're trying to get her back on the line. She says, she says, the law doesn't allow you to hold a company liable because it's individual operators that require operating licenses and not the company. But then this puts a passenger at a very precarious position, Bathuka, because are you saying if when uqasha driver, you're not going to vet them properly to ensure ukuthi lento umsebenzi? I mean, he's representing you as a brand. So let's talk about Leo law nelokuzana and the vetting processes again, nokuthi where inkinga la zikhona zikuphi inkinga nsizwa and zizosolva kanjani?
I think we must firstly separate what the responsibility is.
Yeah.
So the license to be issued by the Department of Transportation is to verify that you are confirmed to provide public transportation within South Africa.
Okay.
And that the department knows who you are, and the correct liability factors are in place. And then when it comes to the vetting of drivers and riders, I think when Uber or Bolt says, come ride with us, there's a morality, there's a sense of responsibility that they too carry in ensuring that safety is shared within the space. Now they have abdicated that sense of responsibility. Bolt has no interest. Uber, we've heard terrible incidents of how Uber will try and silence people who've been raped on their platform. Over 30,000 assault per annum on the Uber, sexual assaults on the Uber platform, which they proactively make sure don't make it to the media space. Do you understand? So companies that behave in such a manner are not committed to making sure that we have a safer environment, and we must begin to look for alternatives and develop our own solutions.
Okay. Sis Ayanda, I hear you on the line, Ntokazi. Maybe quickly talk to us about ukuthi umsebenzi weni yini when it comes. I know Batuga just explained ukuthi Department of Transport, when they issue licenses, nizkhipha kanjani. But I mean, I'm sure it comes with rules and regulations ukuthi you can only issue a license if people comply to this. But seemingly this is not happening, Ntokazi.
Manje uqala ngokuxolisa nje very quickly Alisha technology inokubamba iyeke I explained to the beginning of the show ukuthi sila ngaphandle nje sithekile ukudla la Free State, so I do apologize for that. Ngiyini ngisho kuba ukuthi ngimzwile ukuthi uthe uakhilile to our department ukuthi ucela ukuba more involved in the planning and the execution of the Lakho ngizoyisa phambili leyo ndaba leyo at least ithole more ventilation. Ngize ke kumbuzo wakho Alisha, and just focus a little bit on something that we have already discussed here. Yes, indeed, regulations, we are improving them now. There's legislation underway that speaks directly to e-hailing and how we can make sure that we improve safety, security, but also we look at benefits also for the driver, because you know at the moment they are perceived as partners, so they also don't have other benefits such as UIF, they don't have other benefits such as medical aid and the like. So all of these regulations will speak to that. But even just as important are the issues of e-code of conduct. You know, even across the taxi industry, not just e-hailing, meter taxis, there's no code of ethics that has been created so that they know standards to which they should be held. And if they transgress, what are the punitive measures that they face? So if you have a council, for example, an overarching body that is looking at e-regulation in the taxi industry, if Ayanda umshayeli we-e-hailing service provider, Ayanda uyamosha in one way or another, Ayanda must be blacklisted. So we are looking at criminal procedures. Of course, yes, the law must take its course, but we must make sure that Ayanda ashare e-Bolt, maybe I am going e-hailing service provider because we must be able to regulate the industry the same way that the medical professionals nabo bane council yabo. You look at your advocate, nabo bane council yabo. Advocate emoshile la Cape Town angeke ibaleke izosebenza la eJohannesburg. A doctor emoshile in Northern Cape angeke abaleke aye eMpumalanga ayosebenza khona. The same way we must make sure ukuthi there's those code of ethics and there are punitive measures, so that if Ayanda uganile or umoshile la eGauteng angeke ngibaleke ngiyoqala ngithi ngiregister futhi eWestern Cape ngizoshayela le. So those are some of the issues that we are looking at in terms of regulating the industry, professionalizing the industry, so we can make sure we are able to not control it per se, but to work hand in hand to benefit the commuter.
And then Ayanda, I mean, I asked Ubatuga this because your counterpart at Western Cape, Usipesihle Dube, was saying that the law doesn't allow you to hold a company liable because it's individual operators that apply for a license. So it sounds like it's a bit vague. As you're saying, Uguti, this e-hailing is saying in just South Africa. I mean, we know the ID tracking system was only introduced in 2017. So it's like teething problems, but safety of a passenger should have come first, and labo bantu, as you were saying, Uguti, they need to be punitive measures taken against labo bantu abalokhuzayo. And at this stage, umuntu ulibikaphi icala mekuguthi unenkinga, because bonke Bolt no Uber kulama case ekade ngiwa-highlighter bonke they totally distance themselves, saying that they have nothing to do with the issue because driver that is at fault.
Nayo ke indaba Alisha, you are quite right, and I know ukuthi futhi naye take touchilo on it. The operating model yama e-hailing service provider is unlike anything that we have seen, and not just in South Africa. I don't want us to think it's isolated here. All over the world, e-hailing is not allowed, but I operate because your model of operation is something that we have not envisaged before. So you have companies like your Airbnb, for example. Now, Airbnb does not have property, and yet they are the owner of the largest accommodation retail outlets. Same way, Uber, partners partners with these vehicles? How do we empower those partners to be able to not only have benefits, but to also have added responsibility? What is the relationship like between the service provider and the actual driver who's driving the vehicle?
Yeah.
Who does the responsibility go to? Those are some of the things that we are looking at now in terms of regulation. Because this is a partnership with Banbani. We just provide the app.
Okay.
Platform. So those are the things that need to be discussed. These are the things that are before Parliament as we speak now, that are going to be opened up to public consultation so that we can get some sort of response. It has changed the way we travel. It's a good thing, but it must be regulated, which is the reason why even the mainstream taxi industry, if you remember when they first came on, because they were saying, how come terms and conditions, there's no terms and conditions, I'm operating license, why do they not have to get a tax clearance certificate like it? So there's still a lot of work that is there to be done, but the progress is there. We have already started to say, let's say regulation, the show, we are meeting with your e-hailing service providers. We have already done so. The manager will do so. We'll make sure we include the voice of the drivers as
All right, ayimbukeli indaba eziletha ithemba ke lapho yamuzu Ayanda Alipheni okhulumela i-Department of Transport. Uthi umthetho uyeza, ama-regulations ayeza azosiza nina njengabagibeli ukuthi nibe safe uma nigibele lapho, nokuthi uma uba nesehlakalo ugibelile leyo Uber noma i-Taxify ukhona ukuthi uyi-reporte kuleyo body ezokwazi ukuthi idile nalawo ma-faults. 0117146918 7146919. Asithathe ikhefu, siyabuya emva kwalo. As we are observing a Transport Month, we are talking about our safety concerns, your safety, sama e-hailing services, as well as your legal recourse, of course, usebenziso Uber no Bolting. No Ayanda Alipheni with Department of Transport, and of course Ubaduka Mbelekwa okhulumela bona abama e-hailing services. Ayanda Ntokazi, bengishilo ukuthi I know you're busy, so let me quickly let you go with this one question, Ntokazi. Maybe in a wrap, in a nutshell, when can we expect these regulations to kick in? Are you going to hold public campaigns in Fundisa Bantu? And also, like, when are we going to see an ombudsman or a body that is going to be relevant in dealing with all these complaints that arise from abantu abasebenzisa amalokuzana? Because we've seen court cases. I mean, women were raped. I mean, people have been beaten up. Possessions abantu have been stolen. Asisazi ukuthi kwenzakalani while we're waiting for regulation. Yini enye singayenza to ensure our safety?
Mbonge very much, and Alicia, before I go, I think it's important for me to say, Uguti, it cannot be correct Uguti sibeke the burden of responsibility upon the commuter.
Yeah.
It's not okay for us to say, Uguti, the only person who must be responsible for their safety is the person who's trying to access a service. In the same way as before we paying a shop, you must make sure Uguti leo shop leo inamaphepha ina izinto or before you make sure Uguti this theater house, etc., etc. You can't just say that it's the responsibility of umuntu wesimame ukuthi so we must make sure that it's a safe environment for whoever wants to commute, because it is their right to use public transport. So yes, they must we are saying to be on the lookout and be careful, but it can't just be the role of the commuter. We too as government are playing our part. We are bringing those regulations. Before they come through our regulations, we are appealing. If you have any issue at all, you need to go to the police, get as much information as you can, open up a case, forward it. We are also having discussions with the e-hailing service providers. This is spearheaded by the Deputy Minister, who is extremely passionate alongside the Minister on GPV issues. And she has said, but no, this is something she must look at for October Transport Month. So in the interim, before the regulations kick in, please, while yes, we are asking you to be safe, safe and to report issues to the police, we are also playing our part. I think it's also very important to stress that. Then equally, Parliament will be able to do those public consultation processes, and the amendments and the laws will take their course in that way. But then parallel to that is the taxi lekgotla that I'm speaking to you about, as we speak now. So in lekgotla, what it's going to do is going to bring those codes of conduct. It's going to have those discussions as the sector, as government, as commuters, as drivers, to make sure everybody can benefit from this industry and nobody is put at a disadvantage or in harm's way. So those are the discussions that are happening at the moment. We are trying to make sure it's a multidisciplinary approach. Especially if it's a matter that is criminal. We then have to involve, for example, police, SABC coming to the party. If there's a syndicate, for example, human trafficking that is operating in this space, we speak to issues of state security that must also come hand in hand. And then social development, and social development, to say, how do we then look at this in the broader context of GBV in the country, where we can't remove e-transport. We are trying our best, we are working as quickly as we can. We are hoping to start seeing the results, at least as a subsidization, the taxi industry by April next year. But even before then, we want to see a code of conduct, and we want to see those who are guilty of such misdemeanors and criminal activities to be put behind bars. We are working in all cylinders. Yes, we are calling on people to be safe, but we can't just say it's their responsibility alone. We are also playing our part.
Siyabonga kakhulu, Ms. Ayanda Alipane, the spokesperson ye Department of Transport. Siyabonga kakhulu Ntokazi. Go back to that lekgotla ke khona uzobuya nama resolutions. Mbukeli ake sibuye lapha ku Facebook uthi uDJ Gavi uthi I think Uber is the most safest than to be on any transport, mostly when it's late times in Komi. For me, Uber and other public transport is not safe because number one, you don't know that person. At least safety tips is to check around the car, like backseat, boot, and no plate. Ustuduzo Mashand uti I have this, but they still can't help me. Uyangibonisa ukuthi imali yakhe abamkhokhelanga back. Ubongani Sithole uti please do. I warned my sister last once I heard the dangers in counting esebenzisa e-hailing. We're going to take more Facebook messages. Uma sesibuya emva kwekhefu mbukeli 011-714-6918 714-6919. We're talking your challenges associated with ukusebenzisa ama e-hailing services. Yilungelo Lakho on SABC 1. Bogeli, welcome back in Zingozetu Ivuliwe 011-714-6918. Alternatively, 011-714-6919. consumer@sabc.co.za. Sikhona ku Facebook. We even have a WhatsApp number. I'm going to ask my crew now ukuthi bayifake lapha khona uzoyibona. Let's now welcome Upod Robert Mulawuthi. Nyamazi ke yena, he's a safety expert. Nimbonile lapha ekhuluma kwiclip ukuthi mhlambe iziphi inyathelo ongayithatha ukuze ube safe now. Upod Robert, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I mean, I think when you mentioned earlier on Uguti, e-passenger must do this and do this, maybe let's understand this because we just had Ayanda Alipane, the spokesperson here, Department of Transport. Uti, the owners should not necessarily be left on e-passenger to ensure safety, because if when you log onto a service, you are trusting Ugut Labo Bantu, they are forthcoming with information about provider, which is saying basically Batibona, they are a safer mode of travel. So you're not going to sit there and be like, is this the person ngempela ozayo? Is this uGooglish? Uyabona izinto ezinjalo nsizwa. So what other ways can one ensure safety yabo when riding ama Uber or e-hailing services?
Yeah, I think it's important ukuthi umuntu oyisebenzisayo a check angithi ilona whether it's Bolt or Uber, whatever service provider it is. Kunama ratings ukuthi udriver loyo ozomsebenzisa usebenza kanjani. So those are some of the things you need to look at. Of course, imoto, because I mean, kuyenzeka ukuthi imoto leyo mhlambe it can be hijacked. Let's just do a practical scenario. like in South Africa where we live, kwenzeka ukuthi le moto le bayi-hijack, ma bayi-hijack bathathe le moto le yakamshayeli, wena uzwazi kanjani ukuthi and then mhlambe baphendule whatever request ama-request angena mhlambe udriver bamfake i-receipt. Let's just make it an example. Ba-reply lapho wena ma unga-verify ubuso baka-driver ne-information leyo engikhuluma ngayo, how are you going to know ukuthi vele nguyo lo muntu odrivayo or sakomunye umuntu odrivayo?
All right, thank you so much, But Robert. Batuka, maybe let me come back to you. And this is a very important issue. I'm going to take a caller just now, but Batuka, quickly, I mean, we heard Iklip Lapayana where the drivers themselves were saying how easy it is to manipulate a system. One can just take your phone, ati uyena osebenzisi lokhuzana. Now, I'm referring to a case, I think a case, Yalendaba, a court matter that when Uber driver and his friends allegedly gang raped 4 women in 4 different incidents. Umeli lapha uthe the Uber should take full responsibility because they promise a safe and reliable service to passengers, meaning that they misled them and meaning that they were negligent in ensuring ukuthi their service was actually not infiltrated by outsiders. And we're seeing njoba sizwelo driver but it's easy as taking ifoni yakho Batuka ngiyithathe mina and post and pretend or pose as ukuthi I'm a registered and vetted driver ye Uber or Bolt. So let's talk about lezi nkinga and ukuthi how are you trying to solve these?
So what often happens in these sort of situations is that ubatukas online uyasebenza igebengu zoom hijack, they take my cell phone, that means I don't have any means to communicate. And then they begin working as though they are ubatuka mbelengwa. They receive trips, and that's when these crimes happen. Now, this could be prevented if criminals couldn't easily create fake profiles so that they could hijack the likes of us and then carry out crimes. Now, the case you're referring to, I've got the misfortune of being able to have a lot of insights into what happened there. And the way Uber treated those women, even during the case, shows a lack of decency, shows a lack of morality for that organization. They felt intimidated by even telling their story because Uber and its management were very insensitive to the needs of these women.
They totally distanced themselves from the issue.
Totally distanced themselves, and it goes to show that, they're not here to form part of a positive aspect of our society. So when you then look at those sort of instances, it says to us that the technology is not being built properly. It says to us that they are not making the right effort to make sure that the app itself, those platforms, are being safe. Now, when we just go back a little bit and we speak of regulation, we speak of licensing, we within the e-hailing community are saying we need to then create a new license, or the Department of Transport needs to then lead in creating a new license to license e-hailing app operators within the country to ensure that they are then complicit with ensuring that South African citizens won't fall victim to criminality as a result of these platforms.
All right, I'm Mbugel. Asithatha uNtukwane from
Sorry,
Joburg.
can I just...
Yes, Batuka, very quickly.
Mr. Mlaudzi,
yes,
said you must check a rating your driver. Ne?
Yeah.
Now, into your rating, it's not really a proper fail-safe because most people don't understand how the rating works.
Yes.
They just get out the car, they press any star, and then they leave, and then they carry on. There's no customer training on what the importance of rating is. So sometimes you pick up somebody who has a 5-star rating, but that's because the customer just pressed 5 because he needed to request the next trip. Or somebody pressed 1 and the rating is very low. So the rating doesn't show a proper reflection because customers aren't trained on the importance of rating.
All right, maybe ezinye izinto lezo Mbukeli that you need to know and understand. Ubheke futhi ukuthi udriver uratewe kanjani before you even accept ukuthi eze azokuthatha. Let's now go to our caller uNtukwane from Joburg. Ntukwane, thank you so much for staying on the line. Singakusiza kanjani today?
Kunjani?
Ngiyaphila nsizwa kunjani?
Sikhona khona.
Yebo baba, singakusiza kanjani? Bakwenzeni wena Uber or Bolt?
Ngiyazama ukuthi alif
Yebo khuluma bhuti.
Benbuziva ukuthi ubalation nje i-safety towards ama-client. So i-safety kuma-driver. I think measure that April might be safe.
You
So
say
umuzwa ukuthi why kunje kubhekwe nje i-safety ama-clients kungabhekwa nge-safety ama-driver.
Thank you so much Ntukwana.
Into
Oh, absolutely, Nsizwa. Sizokuphendula emva kwaleli khefu. Mbukeli nawe if you want to call us 011-714-6918, 714-6919. consumer@sabc.co.za. Unayindawo, we're talking challenges around e-hailing services. Bolt, Uber, nisho bona. Welcome back, Mbogele. Still taking your calls on 011-714-6918, alternatively 714-6919. Sinayo ubhuti Mzamani ose-Randburg. Nsizwa, sekwamukela ohlelweni. Nsizwa, singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
This one.
Yebo bhuti.
Lenkinga la ngendaba yalama e-hailing nama-taxi wona ama-taxi street, ama-taxi association.
Yes.
Mina me-passenger na. Ngibamisa ukuthi ngi-request from emamall nomfazi wami nabantwana bami.
Yes.
So i-hailing ifika laphana. Simangala manje sikhishwa ngalamadoda ama-taxi ama-driver ama-taxi association. Basihudula phakathi kwama e-hailing kulezi moto. So one of my child manje akekho right because bekukhudulwa ngalama taxi association. So manje sifuna ukwazi and sifuna ukubuza ukuthi okay bona laba ama taxi association sithe masibabuze ukuthi why nenza into efana nalena bathi no lezi moto aziregulatiwanga azikho emthethweni. Why kumele sigibele imoto ezifana nalezi? Kumele siye e-rank. So you can't go to a rank unomntwana o-disabled. Uzohamba kanjani i-distance nomntwana o-disabled ye-rank? And then okunye sifuna sicela laba ama-e-hailing ukuthi kube nendawo la sizoripota khona as ama-passengers ama-complaints serious asinenkinga abo. And kumele babe ne-clue yokuthi sikhona ukwazi ukuthi loyo udriver o-straight udriver o-original lo omthathayo.
Okay.
Kungabi nomshikashika sometimes ngithathwa ngesigebengu kanti lesigebengu lethu sayijeka imoto kunye driver ye-e-hailing.
Yebo bhuti Mzamani.
Angithathe laphana so sicela ukubuza ukuthi kuma-chairperson yama-taxi association bayayazi lento yokuthi ama-driver wabo babhizi bayasishaya emarenke na and lento leyo ivumelekile na. Because kwamanje sesikhuluma kanje ngine-video yama-taxi drivers labe bahlala imoto amasondo athi abayifuni kuleyo mall.
Okay bhuti Mzamani.
We-South Africa uyavuma leyo nto na ukuthi umuntu athathe umandla athathe umthetho awubeke ezandleni zakhe na.
Alright, Nsizwa, sibeke lapho siyabonga kakhulu ubhuti Mzamani from Randburg. Maybe Batuka, let's come back to a question Gantukwana. He started by asking ukuthi why is there only focus on passenger when there should also be this focus yokuthi or driver. I think he was trying to say why kungachekwa nokuthi or driver bavetiwe kanjani. And then maybe if you can also just refer to Mzamani uyabuza ukuthi if they can literally ask ukuthi where can they report lama incidents Nsizwa?
Okay, Tinkale Moputu said drivers deserve safety. Our position essentially is that everybody deserves safety, whether you are a rider, whether you are a driver, anybody engaging with the platform, anybody using public transportation deserves safety. So if we move in that spirit, we then develop solutions and technology that can enable us to make sure everybody then safer on the platform.
All right.
Drivers are targeted. Drivers are victims. We have our cars are hijacked every day. We have our cell phones stolen every day. We are targeted. We are easy targets. And then what we've come to realize in our engagement is the minibus taxi industry is not sure exactly how to understand the e-hailing. Once we sit and we engage and we begin to educate, they have a greater understanding. So I think this is a moment for us to call for broad-based engagement. And let's ensure that as we embrace technology, this technology must unify the transportation sector. It must ensure that we then can support each other and we don't see each other as competitors, but we become reliant on each other to ensure that our industry becomes more efficient, more safer.
All right, but Batu, I'm going to have to leave it there. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time now. Sesizolgcina kanjalo uhlelo mbukeli. Hayi sesifike kanjalo ophethelweni lohlelo lethu namhlanje. Let me thank my guests for their time. Ngiphinde ngibonge nani ngokubamba iqhaza mbukeli. Do join us again next time for another live consumer affairs discussion from me, Alisha Wagajali, and the whole team. Nisale kahle, keep safe in those e-hailing services. Ni report any incidences lapha kwi-association as well as emaphoyiseni. Nisale kahle. Yilungelo.